set something straight. We are here, and we are, with all due respect, by far the most important trading partner to Houston. I think that it's self-criticism. We at the consulate, we as members of the Mexican government, are not good enough to put across the importance of Mexico, at least to Houston. Of course, to the U.S. as a whole, but particularly to Houston. And then I'll throw out some statistics, some figures to prove just what I said. We are by far the #1 trading partner with Houston. We have a huge, huge trade with Houston to the tune of $17 billion a year. I'm not talking about trade with Texas, talking about trade with Houston. Now, we are also the #3 trading partner to the U.S. as a whole. Only Canada, China has overtaken us, recently. We are #3, but we buy more things from you than China. This is something that I wish to emphasize. I mean, we are, there are no Chinese here, no. We are a better trading partner to the U.S. because we buy a whole lot more than the Chinese do. And hence, you don't have such a huge trade deficit with Mexico as you do with China. And then I could go on and on with more statistics. We are, for instance, by far, we have the largest number of visitors to Mexico. And by that, I don't mean only undocumented. It's very sad. Well, maybe it's understandable, but some people would only think of Mexico in terms of undocumented people coming across. But we have, for instance, 85% of foreign visitors to Houston come from Mexico. And of those, more than 2 million Mexican nationals travel to Houston to shop at the Galleria, for instance, and I hope you have other very attractive malls here, and I will direct it to them for a fee, of course. But anyway, we have, of all the foreigners who come to the hospitals in Houston, by far the largest number of them come from Mexico, and they contribute hugely to the local economy. We have in Houston, in the metropolitan area, more than 1,000 Mexican companies, Mexican-owned companies, ranging from taco stands to Patio Tequila and to Cemex. Cemex is perhaps the world's largest cement enterprise in the world now, because of the topsy-turvy condition of the economy. Maybe they've lost this edge. But they are huge, and they are here in Houston. They contribute, not only do they contribute to the economy, but they also generate thousands of employment for Americans, for Houstonians. And I can go on and on. For instance, we have statistics that show that we have 980 flights from Houston International to Mexico and back. We are, and if you talk to people in Continental, they would tell you that Continental was making a good profit after all the airlines were going on the red mainly because of Mexico. And this is a fact. So again, let me emphasize the huge importance of Mexico to Houston, and it goes without saying that Houston is hugely important to Mexico as well. Having said this, I would not hesitate to tell you that we are going through a very, very, very difficult time in Mexico. I want to put forth our points of view regarding something that we consider to be a shared problem. We have what we call a co-responsibility with the U.S. when it comes to fighting organized crime in Mexico. At the outset, almost from the very first day that President Calderon, the current Mexican president, took office, he set out to in a whole-out campaign against organized crime. This was unprecedented. Much can be said about what former presidents did or did not against organized crime, but it's a fact, and I want you to think in terms of what we're going through in Mexico when it comes to fight organized crime. He deployed, sadly, and this is something that I regret, he had to deploy the army to combat drug traffickers because local police, state police, and even the federal police were overwhelmed, first of all, and I talk very bluntly because this is the only way. First of all, by the way that drug traffickers were buying, as it were, officers from almost every level at the Mexican government. And I would say this also very bluntly. You hear very often that, for instance, the Mexican police is corrupt. And I would say yes, there are many who are corrupt. But I want you to think about the local policeman that goes out with, I would say, with a puny gun and faces drug traffickers armed to the teeth, and he succumbs to these people, and to me, those are heroes. All right, you can only hear about corrupt policemen, and this is sadly something that is true, corrupt politicians, but I want you to think in terms of, not in a very Manichaean way, how we have to face this terrible fight at almost every level. So what we are saying, and this is, again, a very sympathetic audience, I can feel it. I usually have to hide behind the desk sometimes, but we need more from